The cold steel of the weapon pressed into her lower back, but her entire body felt like it was burning. Raphael's breath was hot against the side of her neck as he pushed her harder against the massive window overlooking the Chicago skyline, his other hand tight on her waist, trapping her completely. 80 floors below, the city pulsed with life. "You visited him," he said, each word dripping with barely controlled fury. "After everything I told you about staying away from Dominic Kane." She angled her chin, meeting his reflection in the window. Her heart was racing so fast she thought it might burst, but she'd rather die than let him see her fear. Slowly, deliberately, she reached behind her and wrapped her fingers around his wrist, the one holding the gun. She pulled his hand around, watching the shock ripple across his face in the glass as she brought the weapon toward her face. His eyes went wide. Then she acted. Her lips brushed the barrel, soft and intentional. Her eyes locked on his reflection the entire time. Raphael's breathing stopped. His pupils expanded until they nearly swallowed the gray of his eyes. The gun shook slightly in his hand. "What are you doing?" "Making the choice you can't seem to make, husband." Her voice was smooth as silk, deadly as poison. "Since you apparently can't decide whether you want to destroy me or devour me." The gun hit the floor with a metallic clang. His hand went to her throat, not squeezing, just claiming, possessive and dangerous all at once. He spun her to face him, pressing her back against the cold glass. "I hate you," he breathed, his mouth hovering over hers. "You're a terrible liar." She smiled, her lips almost touching his. "You hate that you're obsessed with me." When he kissed her, it was violent, consuming, devastating. The kiss tasted like 6 months of warfare and wanting, like every wall between them finally crumbling to dust. When he pulled back, they were both gasping. "This doesn't change anything," he said, "if you say so." 6 months earlier, everything was completely different. "You're being sold in marriage," her father announced, not even bothering to look up from the legal documents covering his desk. "To Rafael Santoro, you have 72 hours. Her wineglass stopped halfway to her lips. "I'm sorry, what?" "The Santoro family. This arrangement will erase the debts I've incurred. It's already been negotiated." "You're selling me." The words came out mechanical, empty. Because if she let herself feel the betrayal, she'd break apart right there. Her father finally looked at her, and what she saw there was worse than shame. Resignation. Acceptance. "I'm saving this family, Maya. Rafael Santoro runs the most powerful real estate empire in the Midwest. This is business. I'm your daughter, not a bargaining chip. In our world, you're both." 72 hours later, Maya stood in a champagne-colored dress she'd barely had time to approve, facing a man she'd met exactly once for 15 minutes. Rafael Santoro was dangerously beautiful, angular features, piercing gray eyes that seemed to calculate probabilities, and a mouth that looked like it hadn't smiled in years. He appeared to be in his early 30s, threads of silver visible at his temples. When he placed the ring on her finger, his touch was glacial. "Smile," he murmured as photographers snapped away. "This is all theater." "Like this entire marriage?" she whispered back. Something sparked in his eyes. Anger or curiosity, she couldn't tell. "Then we understand each other. Perfect. Don't make this more difficult than necessary." "Difficult is the only thing I know how to be." His jaw tensed. "Then we're going to have serious problems." "I'm counting on it, husband." The reception was a blur. Strangers' faces, empty congratulations from people who couldn't care less, and Raphael's hand on her waist that burned like fire. When they finally left, sitting in tense silence in the car to his penthouse in downtown Chicago, Maya stared through the tinted window and wondered if she'd ever feel free again. The penthouse was ridiculously luxurious, floor-to-ceiling windows with views of Lake Michigan, sleek furniture that probably cost 6 figures, and a coldness that matched its owner perfectly. "Your bedroom is on the 3rd level." Second door on the right, Raphael said, already walking toward his office. My assistant will have your things delivered. My bedroom? She turned to face him. We're married. He stopped, his back still to her. On paper only. In public, you're my wife. In private, you're someone I'm legally obligated to provide housing for. Don't confuse the two. How sweet. Romance doesn't factor into this. He glanced back, his expression like carved marble. Rules are simple. You don't leave this building without my security team. You don't talk to media without my approval. You attend required events and play the loving wife. In return, you get protection, luxury, and a substantial monthly allowance. Everything except freedom. Freedom doesn't matter when you're alive to miss it. He disappeared into his office, the door closing with absolute finality. Maya stood alone in that enormous living space, anger building in her chest, married for 6 hours and already imprisoned. If you're already hooked, don't forget to like this video and hit on that subscribe button. We're just getting started with Maya and Raphael's story. The first week, she tested every limit. She played music so loud the furniture vibrated, classical, electronic, anything with heavy bass. She rearranged books in his pristine library, mixing categories with deliberate chaos. She walked around the penthouse in comfortable clothes, oversized t-shirts, barely there shorts, silk robes that covered almost nothing. Raphael said nothing. He'd appear at breakfast perfectly dressed in expensive suits, check his tablet while drinking black coffee, and leave without a word. Sometimes he didn't return until 3 a.m. When they crossed paths, he'd look at her like she was an irritating piece of decor he couldn't figure out how to remove. But Maya noticed things. How his jaw would clench when she walked past in her robe. How his eyes would track her across rooms before he'd force his attention away. The tiny crack in his armor when she'd laugh during phone calls with her best friend. His head would turn slightly, like the sound bothered him. He didn't want her there. That was obvious. But he couldn't quite ignore her either. Perfect. By week 2, Maya changed her approach entirely. She woke before dawn, taking over the living room for her morning workout routine. Those massive windows created the perfect setting as she moved through exercises in athletic leggings and a sports bra that revealed almost everything. First morning, Raphael came down with his coffee and froze completely. Maya was in a deep lunge, her back arched, every muscle engaged. She held the position, breathing controlled, pretending not to notice him standing there like he'd been turned to stone. Slowly, deliberately, she transitioned into a backbend, chest rising, head falling back. She could feel his stare like a physical touch, burning through the space between them. "Morning?" she said casually, shifting position before standing up. She grabbed her water bottle, taking a long drink, very aware that she was sweating and breathing hard. "Sleep okay?" Raphael's knuckles were white around his coffee mug. "What are you doing?" "Working out. I do it every morning." She stretched her arms overhead. The movement made her sports bra ride up. "Helps with stress. You should try it. You seem really tense." His jaw worked. "The living room is shared space." "I know. That's why I'm using it." She moved past him toward the kitchen, letting her arm brush his. She felt him flinch. "Feel free to watch. I don't mind an audience." She heard his sharp breath, but didn't look back. She could feel the anger radiating off him, and something else, something hotter. Next morning, she wore even less just a sports bra and shorts that were basically underwear. She took her time, moving through each exercise with exaggerated slowness, bending deeper, holding longer, breathing heavier. She knew exactly what view she was giving him from his position on the stairs. Raphael didn't come down, but she could feel him watching from the upper level, hidden in shadows. The weight of his gaze made every nerve in her body come alive. Third morning, she added music, something slow and sensual with deep, throbbing bass. She moved like water, her body flowing seamlessly through each movement. Lunges, planks, hip raises toward the ceiling. When she finished, breathless and glowing, she turned to find Raphael in the kitchen. his coffee untouched on the counter, his eyes dark with something barely controlled. "Enjoying the show?" she asked, grabbing a towel and dragging it slowly down her neck, between her breasts. "You're playing with fire." "Am I?" She moved closer, close enough to smell his cologne, something dark and expensive. "I'm just working out. If it bothers you, maybe leave earlier." "This is my home." "Ours," she corrected, meeting his eyes boldly. "You married me, remember? Made me your wife. Gave me your name. This is my home, too, and I'll work out wherever I want." His hand shot out, catching her wrist. Not painfully, but firm enough to make her pulse race. "You're deliberately pushing me." "Is it working?" She let her gaze drop to his mouth, that hard, beautiful mouth, then back up. "Because you seem pretty pushed." For 1 second, she thought he might kiss her, or strangle her. The line seemed incredibly thin, but then he released her suddenly, stepping back like she'd burned him. "Get dressed. We have a business dinner tonight." "Yes, husband." She practically purred the words, watching his jaw clench so hard she thought his teeth might break. "I'll wear something special." She did. That evening, she came down the stairs in a blood-red dress that should have been illegal. It clung to every curve before flowing at her thighs, the neckline plunging so low it was basically a dare, and the back was almost completely bare, showing skin all the way to her lower back. Her dark hair was swept into an elegant updo, exposing her neck. She'd done dramatic eye makeup and painted her lips the same deep red as the dress. Raphael was on his phone when she appeared, his back to the stairs. She cleared her throat softly. He turned, and the phone fell from his hand. His eyes went huge, traveling from her face down her body and back up, slow and deliberate, like he was memorizing every detail. She watched his throat move as he swallowed, watched his hands curl into fists. "Too much?" she asked innocently, doing a slow spin. The movement made the dress's slit reveal nearly her entire leg. "No." The word came out strangled. He cleared his throat. "You look acceptable." "Just acceptable?" She descended the final steps, her heels clicking on marble. The sound seemed impossibly loud in the silence between them. "I can change if you want." "Don't." He caught himself, his expression closing. "You look fine." "Good. We should go." But as she walked past him toward the elevator, she heard him curse quietly in Italian. She smiled. The dinner was torture. For Raphael, at least. Maya enjoyed every second. She sat next to him at the upscale restaurant, close enough that her bare arm kept brushing his suit. Every time she moved, reaching for water, leaning in to listen, laughing at something a business associate said she made sure he noticed. And he noticed everything. She could feel the tension coming off him in waves, could see the muscle jumping in his jaw, the way his hand kept tightening on his glass every time another man's eyes lingered on her. When she leaned forward to respond to one associate's question, giving everyone at the table a generous view down her dress, Raphael's hand landed on her thigh under the table, hard, possessive, warning. She turned to him with wide, innocent eyes. "Yes, darling." His eyes promised revenge, but his voice stayed perfectly controlled. "Nothing. Just making sure you're comfortable." "Oh, I am." She placed her hand over his, her fingers drawing patterns on his knuckles. "Very comfortable." His hand flexed on her thigh, and for a moment she thought he might drag her out of the restaurant. Instead, he smiled, cold and dangerous, and turned back to his associates. But his hand stayed on her thigh for the entire meal, burning, claiming, a brand she felt long after he finally removed it. On the drive home, silence hung between them like a live wire. "That was deliberate," Raphael said finally, his voice deadly quiet. "What was?" "Everything. The dress, the laughing, leaning forward like—" He cut himself off, jaw working. "Like what?" She turned in her seat to face him, letting the dress's slit fall open to reveal nearly her entire leg. "I was being friendly, playing the devoted wife like you asked." "You were being provocative. With my business associates. She widened her eyes. Raphael, I would never. I was just being polite. His hands gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. You're testing me. Maybe you need to be tested. She let her hand drift to his thigh, felt him tense under her touch. You lock me in that penthouse like a prisoner. You ignore me. You treat me like some annoying obligation you can't wait to escape. But I know the truth. And what's that? You want me. She let her hand drift higher, watching his jaw clench. You want me so badly it's eating you alive, and you hate yourself for it. Remove your hand. Why? She leaned closer, her lips brushing his ear. Afraid you might lose control? Afraid you might actually have to admit you feel something? The car swerved to the side so suddenly her seatbelt locked. They stopped at an empty lookout point, the city lights scattered below like diamonds. Raphael turned to her, and the look on his face stole her breath. Raw, hungry, barely restrained. You want to know what I feel? His voice was rough, dangerous. I feel furious. I feel manipulated. I feel like every single moment of every single day, you're trying to break me down, trying to change me into something I'm not. Which is someone who cares. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Someone who could actually want this marriage. Want you? The words should have hurt. Instead, Maya smiled. Liar. What? You're lying. She unbuckled her seatbelt, moving closer. If you didn't care, you wouldn't have noticed my dress. You wouldn't have put your hand on my thigh when those men stared. You wouldn't be gripping that steering wheel right now, fighting not to touch me. You're delusional. Prove it. She tilted her head, challenge clear in her eyes. Kiss me like you hate me. Show me how little you care. Maya, do it, unless you're scared. That was all it took. He lunged across the console, his hand tangling in her hair as he pulled her into a kiss that was pure fury and hunger. It was brutal, punishing teeth and tongue and barely controlled violence. His other hand gripped her hip hard enough to bruise, pulling her as close as the car would allow. Maya gasped into his mouth, and he swallowed the sound, deepening the kiss until she couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't do anything but feel. When he finally pulled back, they were both gasping. His eyes were wild, his perfectly styled hair messed from her fingers. I hate you, he said, voice destroyed. No, you don't. She traced his swollen lips with her thumb. But you wish you did. He released her suddenly, running his hands through his hair. This can't happen. Why not? Because I don't want a wife. I don't want a relationship. I don't want... He stopped, jaw clenching. You don't want me, she finished. But you do, and it terrifies you. You know nothing about what terrifies me. Then tell me. She reached for his hand, but he pulled away. Talk to me like I'm a person instead of an obligation. You are an obligation. That's all this is. A contract. A business deal. Then why did you kiss me like that? He had no answer. After a moment, he started the car and pulled back onto the road. The rest of the drive home was silent, heavy with tension and unspoken words. Want to see what happens next? Hit that subscribe button now. You won't believe where this story goes. Inside the penthouse, Maya didn't go to her room. She followed Raphael to his office, leaning in the doorway as he poured himself whiskey. Go to bed, Maya. No, I'm not in the mood for games. This isn't a game. She moved into the room, closing the door behind her. I'm trying to understand you. There's nothing to understand. He downed the whiskey in one gulp. I'm a man who was forced into a marriage I didn't want with a woman who drives me crazy. The feeling is mutual. She crossed her arms. But we're stuck with each other. We can either be miserable or we can try to make this work. It's working fine. You call this working? She gestured between them. We barely speak. We live in the same space, but might as well be strangers. This is working for you? Better than the alternative. Which is me touching you. He slammed the glass on his desk. Which is me losing control. Which is me wanting you so badly I can't think straight. He moved toward her, predatory. Which is me making you mine in every way and destroying us both. Maya's heart raced, but she stood her ground. Maybe I want to be destroyed. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. She moved closer until they were inches apart. I want to feel something real, even if it's hate, even if it burns us both. He stared at her, breathing hard, every muscle tight. Then he stepped back, shaking his head. Leave my office. Go to your room and stop trying to seduce me. Why? Is it working? Maya. Fine. She headed for the door, then paused. But just so you know, I'm not trying to seduce you. If I was, you'd know it. What I'm doing is reminding you that I exist, that I'm here, that I'm your wife, whether you like it or not. She looked back at him. And sooner or later, you're going to have to decide what that means. She left him standing in his office, staring after her with an expression she couldn't read. Next day, Maya escalated. She woke early and did her workout in a matching set that was more lingerie than athletic wear, mesh panels and strategic cutouts, leaving almost nothing to imagination. She took her time with each movement, knowing Raphael was watching from upstairs. After her shower, which she took with the door wide open, steam floating into the hallway, she dressed in her tightest jeans and a crop top showing smooth skin. Raphael was in the kitchen when she came down. His eyes traveled over her outfit, jaw tightening. Going somewhere? Shopping. She grabbed a banana. That allowance you mentioned, I plan to use it. You have security. I figured. She peeled the banana. Your guys are about as subtle as elephants. His eyes narrowed. What guys? The ones following me everywhere. Did you think I wouldn't notice? She smiled sweetly. There's been a black SUV outside every time I've left. 2 guys in suits who pretend to look at the same things I'm looking at. Really, Raphael, if you're going to have me followed, at least hire professionals. He said nothing, but she could see calculation in his eyes. It's fine, she continued. I get it. Can't have the wife wandering around alone. Someone might think you actually care what happens to me. It's for your protection. Right, protection. She tossed the peel in the trash. Well, your watchdogs can follow me around boutiques. I'm sure they'll love it. She left before he could respond, grabbing her bag and heading for the elevator. But she felt his eyes on her back, burning. The boutique was exactly the type of place she'd always dreamed about, soft lighting and champagne and staff who treated her like royalty. The security team waited outside, trying to look casual and failing. Maya tried on everything, dresses ranging from elegant to scandalous. She charged them all to Raphael's account. If she was trapped in this marriage, she might as well enjoy the perks. The final dress was the showstopper, a black number that was barely there. All strategic cutouts and dangerous slits held together by delicate gold chains. She wore it out of the store, her other purchases being sent to the penthouse. The security team's eyes went wide, but they said nothing. Back at the penthouse, she found Raphael in his office. She didn't knock, just walked in and posed. Thoughts? He looked up and his pen fell from his hand. His eyes went dark, traveling over every exposed inch, which was considerable. The dress left her shoulders bare, her back almost completely exposed, and had a neckline that plunged to her navel. What the hell are you wearing? A dress. Like it? It's new. She did a slow turn. Cost a fortune, but I figured you could afford it. Go change. No. Maya, I'm not in the mood. Go change into something appropriate. This is appropriate for going out. You're not going anywhere in that. Actually, I am. College friends are meeting at a lounge downtown. I'm joining them. No. No? She raised an eyebrow. You don't control me, husband. I'm going. Like hell you are. He stood, moving around his desk. That dress is an invitation. An invitation to what? Have fun? Feel normal? Actually live instead of being trapped in this golden cage? An invitation for every man in that place to touch you. And why would you care? She tilted her head. You've made it very clear you don't want me. So why does it matter who else does? His jaw clenched. Go change. Now. Make me. The words hung between them. Raphael moved toward her slowly until he was close enough that she had to look up to meet his eyes. You want me to make you? His voice was dangerously soft. If you want me out of this dress so badly, she said, take it off yourself. She saw the exact moment his control snapped. His hands went to the gold chains at her shoulders, fingers brushing her skin, but then he stopped, breathing hard, and stepped back. Change. Please. The words surprised her. First time he'd ever said it. Fine. She headed for the door. But I'm still going out. Like hell. In something else, she finished. Something less. This. She left him standing there looking like he'd survived a war. 30 minutes later, she came back down in jeans and a simple black top. Still attractive, still fitted, but considerably less dramatic. Better? Raphael looked her over, jaw still tight. Somewhat. Good enough. She grabbed her bag. Don't wait up. Maya. I'll have my phone. I'll have your security following me. I'll be fine. She softened slightly. I just need a few hours to feel like myself. He said nothing, but she could see the battle in his eyes. Finally, he nodded once, sharp and unhappy. Thank you, she said quietly, and left. The lounge was packed, loud, exactly what she needed. Her friends were already there, Sophia and Nala, both from college, and they greeted her with hugs and excited talking. Look at you, married life looks good on you, Sophia said, checking out her outfit, still glowing. More like slowly losing my mind, Maya muttered, but she smiled. They got a booth and ordered drinks. Maya started with wine, but as the night went on and conversation flowed, she switched to cocktails. The security team was there. She could see them by the entrance trying to blend and failing, but she ignored them. She was on her third drink, laughing at something Nala said when a man approached. Ladies, he said, smiling in a way probably meant to be charming. Can I buy the next round? We're good, thanks, Sophia said politely. But the man's attention was on Maya. What about you, gorgeous? Let me buy you a drink. I have a drink. She held up her glass. Then the next one. He slid into the booth next to her, too close, his leg pressing against hers. I'm David. I'm married. I don't see a husband. His hand landed on her thigh, squeezing. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. Remove your hand. Maya's voice went cold. Come on, don't be like... She said remove your hand. The voice came from behind David, low and lethal. Maya's eyes went wide. Raphael stood there looking like death itself. His eyes were fixed on where David's hand touched her thigh, and the expression on his face would have made grown men cry. David turned, annoyed. Who are you? Her husband. Raphael's hand shot out, gripping David's wrist. The one who's about to break every finger if you don't remove them from my wife immediately. What happens next between Maya and Raphael? You do not want to miss part 2 in 24 hours. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're the first to see it drop tomorrow. Comment below if you think Raphael is finally going to admit how he feels. Don't miss part 2. Thank you for watching and see you soon.